teleconference meeting for February the 21st, 2022 at 3 o'clock. And we call this meeting to order. And today we have two special guests or three special guests. We have Kay here, and I'll let you all introduce yourselves in a second. And we also have Sean Pickens from the city of Frankfort here today. Now, I invited you here because we went through a public hearing a week ago, I think, or something like that, a little over a week ago. And that public hearing, to everybody I've talked to, maybe some they may disagree, but that public hearing made the public wants and needs very clear, very clear. And I think we, as a governing body, at least I think from the fiscal court standpoint, as if we're going to build a park master plan based on public hearing, then we better listen to what was said. And so I want us to share our thoughts, and this is only a discussion, and I call it the first step, if need be, in a discussion on a swimming pool and what is going on, what the YMCA is doing, what are the city's thoughts, and then let's talk about that. Let's put it all out on the table. If everybody, whatever you can say or can't say, I understand, but we need to know. I think if we're going to build a building that's going to be 160,000 square feet, but 75,000 square feet for recreation use, we need to know what to put in there. And if such a demand for a swimming pool, maybe that's the case, maybe it's not. But this is all discussion, and so I'll open the floor up. Keith, will you introduce yourselves and we'll get Sean to say something then after you.
I'm Keith Gallagher. I'm with the YMCA of Central Kentucky.
And I'm Paula Anderson. I'm the CEO for the YMCA of Central Kentucky.
Thank you all for
Sean, will you say something? Will you introduce yourself?
Yes, Sean Pickens, and I'm the director of Parks and Rec for the city of Frankfort.
Okay, and as you see, we have Magistrate Squire Tracy and Magistrate Squire Muller on. We also have in the in live and in living color, and Northcutt is here, and Charlie Lewis is in the office, as well as Tamber Herrick. So Keith, you and Paul,
Well,
tell us what's happening with the YMCA.
well, that's a good question. Well, the YMCA is trying to recover from 2 years of pandemic. First and foremost, we felt like we had a little momentum going into March of 2020 in our discussions with what we were going to do next and potential funders and things like that. And then we've been 2 years in a pandemic. And so right now, our critical focus is on getting our membership and programs back up and healthy so that we can take the next step in Frankfort when that is clear. I appreciate being part of the conversation. We've had great conversations with our friends in the city. We've talked to you all before. I think that we participated in both the city's master plan surveying and your Lakeview Park survey as that went ahead. And I actually was present somewhat at your meeting, I guess a week or so ago.
As best you could Zoom.
As best I could Zoom.
Yeah.
I got kicked off of Zoom, but I did go back in a little bit later and caught maybe the last 5 questions or so that were part of that forum. And so I completely understand the public input that you got around the swimming pool. So as you all know, we've closed the downtown building during COVID because of just the expense of keeping that building open, and that building is part of whatever development happens in downtown. And so kind of waiting to see how that transpires. To fill that swimming pool void, we were partnering with Kentucky State for a year on their pool. That was going really well until the pool had to have some expensive repairs that they just didn't want to tackle right now. And I completely understand that because we have those all the time in our association. So right now in Frankfurt, we have Prevention Park. We run a childcare center in the industrial park. And we're up and running with our youth sports programs at Lakeview Park, among other places, and after school programming and summer programming coming around 2nd Street, somewhere in that area. So our focus, while we've kind of been in this uncertain period about what's next from a physical standpoint, has been get those programs back up and running, serve the community in the ways that we can serve it, until everybody kind of has a plan. We're happy to be part of the conversation and happy to help in whatever way we can help, because what you do at Lakeview will certainly impact what happens for the Y. The city's master plan also impacts what happens with the Y. And, you know, I think it's great work. I've read both plans. So you do have a pretty clear, and I have a pretty clear understanding of what the community's needs and wants are, and that's important information. The demographic information is also very, very interesting.
Okay.
So that's kind of where we are. We're kind of in this waiting for the development, waiting to see what happens with KSU, kind of waiting on the Lakeview plan, and without a clear path and a clear plan, we just haven't decided to move forward yet.
So, and this is a discussion, so
Sure.
I'm gonna shoot a couple questions if you don't mind. And in your plan that originally, I think was looking at
Yes,
parcel B down the street, you had a swimming pool in that,
we
is
do.
that correct?
That is correct.
And was that a swimming pool that, a 25-meter pool?
It's a 25-yard pool, which is just slightly shorter than a 25-meter pool.
Okay,
It's a standard recreational pool. It's what most of the high school meets are run in.
so they're running yards and not meters?
Yeah, they can run yards.
They can run in yards, okay. And so that was part of,
It was.
that was a piece of
That was a
yours, right?
piece, yes.
Okay,
We have in Lexington 4 indoor aquatic centers. The 2 largest are at Beaumont and at the Whitaker Family YMCA. None of them are, all of them are 25-yard pools. And we have 2 YMCA swim teams. Both teams have more than 125 students in them, or 125 participants in them. And we run our junior swim kind of development leagues in the summer with fewer kids, but feeding that big swim team. So we have 2 big swim teams that use our pools. We just ran the U12 state meet in our Beaumont pool last weekend, a week ago Sunday. We had 257 swimmers. So we run big meets like that all the time. We have another one coming up this weekend at North. That'll be that many or more youth swimmers. So, you know, we're very accustomed to running that kind of swim team and that kind of competition in our pools. We have several Lexington high schools that swim in our pools for their practice because none of the high schools have a pool. So, you know, it's very, very common for us to host Sayre, Catholic. Who else do we have swimming right now?
A few other publics.
So we try to be good stewards of our pools and share them as we can. So a lot of those kids come out of our swim teams originally too, and then they go on to swim for high school.
When the old Y,
Mhm.
the older building that's now closed down, did the high school teams get to use it for practice?
I'll punt that one to you, Keith.
No, they used mostly KSU. We did have TNT use our pool, the swim team, TNT.
Was it a 25-yard pool?
That's correct, yes. And our pools in Lexington, we range from 4 lanes to 6 lanes. So
Okay,
I think that's a key factor as well, is like we can have a longer size pool, but what's the width? How many lanes are you going to have during that process too? So Our Gatton pool, our Beaumont Y has a 6-lane pool. Our North Lexington Y has a 5-lane pool, so.
Okay, the pool at the Exum Center, which you all, you were managing at one time. Isn't it a bigger pool,
It's an 8-lane, 25-yard pool.
25-yard pool?
Yes,
Okay. And 8 lanes means it's
correct.
it's wider
It's great.
and, okay. And were the schools, high schools using that?
That's correct, yes.
Okay, so they were able to do that. Were the high schools paying anything to use the,
I'm unaware of their contracts with
okay,
Kentucky State University.
okay,
We do charge for swim time in Lexington.
you do?
It's not a lot of money, but it is some, we have to have staff there.
Mhm.
So we have to have guards on the pool anytime that we're using it. And so we do charge this high schools something for swim time. I don't know what it is.
Mhm.
I'll have to get that and I'm happy to share it. It's not a huge amount of money, but it does cover our staff costs.
So when you were open here, I knew, I never participated, but I saw the participation of aquatic classes, events for people. And that's what you would plan to do at your pool whenever you.
Yeah, I think it's really important for our membership base for water fitness classes. And I referenced Gatton. I mean, we do have 5 indoor pools. Our Gatton, our Beaumont Y has a warm water pool as well, which most of our classes are done in that. We do swim lessons. And we also offer association-wide probably over 100 water fitness classes a week.
Those are very popular. They're particularly popular with older members. So, our water fitness classes fill up pretty rapidly. And when we were doing them at KSU, we had a pretty good crowd of members coming in to do those water classes at KSU.
And that's what I was gonna ask. How much participation did you have?
Do you know what our scans were a week?
I mean, we're probably averaging between 15 to 40 participants a class. So
And what about just people coming in off the street, using or Y members or whatever,
it's a
Coming in
membership
to-
piece.
to swim
Well,
laps?
I don't know how many scans we had. A lot of our swimmers are seniors or silver sneakers members, which means that they're older and they get a free membership basically through their insurance. And then we're reimbursed by however often they come in to actually participate. So a lot of our swimmers fell into that category, although a fair number of our members too did come in and use the pool. So depends on the hours, depends on what they're looking for.
And those silver sneaker contracts vary from association as
Yeah.
well too. So even if we're getting a certain rate, maximum number of visits per month, that may differ from association to association.
I'm gonna ask Sean at this point, then I'll let the squires ask questions and we'll come back to some more things in a minute. Sean, and welcome. You all have done a master plan. I believe it's 9 parks, I think. Is that what your master plan covers, 9 parks?
Yeah,
And part of your all's master plan, did you all include a swimming pool, a possibility of a swimming pool in your master plan?
not directly, no. At the time when our master plan was conducted, it was right, we started right before COVID hit, and then as first COVID was going. So the YMCA, we weren't sure with what direction we were that YMCA was heading, as well as, and you all were getting ready to start your master plan as well. So we didn't directly add an indoor pool, specifically for the city. But that being said, there is an indoor athletic complex included in our plan. Indoor, various, I don't want to name each one, be specific, but a multi-use, for various different sports that is included in our plan for the future. But as with master plans, they can be adaptable. So we didn't specifically mention or include an indoor pool specifically, but that doesn't necessarily mean if now or a year from now, or tomorrow, a need is seen for an indoor pool, which obviously at some point there is a need for one, we can be involved in that. Just because it doesn't say in our master plan doesn't necessarily mean it's never going to happen. If that makes
Okay.
sense.
Squire Tracy has a question.
Sean, looking over your all's plan, you're saying that a swimming pool was not referenced. Sitting here looking at this on page 73 of 218, based on results, the top 6 priorities for facility improvements in Frankfurt are 1 being walking and hiking trails, and 2, it's identified in your plan that swimming pools indoor. So are you saying it wasn't referenced in your plan?
It wasn't specifically in our plan to build one.
Okay, but it is showed in your plan as a need, correct?
Yes.
Okay, all right. And looking on your plan, whereabouts is the multi-use facility you're talking about? Where would that be located?
We don't have an exact location for one picked
Okay.
out at this time. It's
Okay.
stated basically to as part of the plan to build one would be to locate a suitable location.
Okay, so it's basically right there with the pool. You've listed it as a priority per se. You don't have it in a plan.
Exactly.
Okay, all right. Thank you for clarifying that for me. Thank you.
Sean, the city gave, I believe, $2.5 million to the YMCA. So the YMCA would do a lot of that. I remember part of that discussion was that the YMCA would be doing a pool and et cetera. Because I believe we had a joint meeting, and in that joint meeting, there was quite a bit of discussion between commissioners and magistrates about the YMCA building a pool. Is that correct?
Yeah, there was a lot of talk about the YMCA building a pool right as our plan was right in the middle of things. So there was a lot of uncertainty, about the future of indoor pool. So that was kind of the main reason why it was kind of left out of our plan, and us specifically, I don't think the city has the means to do one, alone basically. But I'm not sure if it ever went through that $2 million or 2.5 was given to the Y. I know that was in discussion, but I don't know that it ever came to fruition.
Well, I can answer that
Yeah,
in that
okay.
the city has earmarked $2.5 million in the budget. There's not been any, we've not transferred, obviously, without a
Right.
clear plan. We're not going to ask for that money until we have that. So that's,
Right.
but it's currently earmarked in this year's budget.
Right. Squire Muller?
Thanks, Judge. I want to thank everybody for being on here with us. It's an exciting time in Franklin County and Frankfurt. A couple questions for the Y. Do you know, so you all aren't currently doing fundraising or anything for new facilities because of the pandemic, is that correct?
That's correct. We have not launched a capital campaign.
Okay. And then you all were talking about the KSU pool, and that kind of ended abruptly, unfortunately. Do you know if the money they'll be receiving from the state, do you know if they have money in there to fix the current pool? Is that included in that, I think, $23 million bailout?
I do not believe that's included in the money. No, I can't speak for certain with certainty there, but we've not heard any indication of that.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Scott, Sean, you all did say in your plan that you did see a swimming pool as a priority, that is a need in our community.
Yes, it was shown as a need in the community. Yes.
Okay. All right. So to the why, where are you? What are your thoughts? What about the possibility of the pool getting fixed at the Exum Center and the pool reopening at the Exum Center?
I think everybody would like that, including the KSU folks. It's a matter of where that falls on their priority list. as they're working through some really difficult things right now. And I respect that and have not pushed on it. I will tell you that even if someone could magically appropriate the money tomorrow to fix the pool, it is taking a very long time right now to do pool repairs. Pool parts have to be specifically manufactured, specific to the pool. I have a pool that's hanging by a thread in Lexington, and parts are 8 to 12 weeks out. So it is not a short-term issue right now to repair a pool, even when we identify the funding to repair the pool. So I don't think it's a quick turnaround on, and I can't speak, the folks at KSU, we've not had an in-depth conversation with them about what that pool needs. But I can just share my personal experience with our pools right now is it's taking a very long time to get parts and service on pools.
I guess really the main question would be, are you all, when monies become available or whatever, when the KSU gets their monies, or are you all interested in getting back to the table and talking with KSU about the Exum Center?
They are aware that we are very interested in continuing that partnership. Yes.
Okay.
It's a great pool. It's a big pool. It's they've done some work on it, and it has great lighting and things like that. It's our members were enjoying using it and really had adapted to going to KSU to use the pool very well.
That's good. That's good to
It's
hear.
very good.
Okay. And so you are saying that you would like to continue that mode if possible, at least for the near future?
If they get to a situation where we can all figure out how to repair the pool and they want to continue the partnership, absolutely. We would be open to that.
Okay. Well, 12 weeks to get parts for.
I'm not kidding. It's crazy. It's a supply chain issue. The company that actually, dehumidification units are a big deal in indoor pools and they're extremely expensive. Ours happens to be manufactured in Canada. And so everything, in addition to just the normal supply chain issues, everything coming across the border takes a little bit longer right now.
Yeah. Squire Mahler?
Thank you, Judge. So question about KSU again, and I know you can't answer for them or anything. Let's say somebody puts the money up to fix the pool. Do you all still have a current contract with them as far as running it and personnel, or would that have to be reworked?
We'd have to rework that.
Okay. And do you feel confident that, they're willing to do it and you're willing to do it? I know they don't have a president in place right now, so I think things are a little bit unsteady. So do you think that's foreseeable?
I'm not aware that they had any issues with us with the pool. I think it was just purely a repair issue. So we've continued to talk to them. We had meetings with the AD last week just to have a good conversation and stay in touch. So I think the partnership was very good, and I don't think there'd be a problem there unless there's a change of philosophy and leadership there.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Okay. Again, you have some?
There's just a couple of quick questions. I noticed on the City of Frankfurt's master plan, the YMCA that was shown on there was a 30,000 square foot facility. Would the size of the pool that would be planned for that size facility, would that be enough for the competitive swimmers plus the swim lessons and the people who need the aqua aerobics classes? And is that going to be a challenge to try and fit a pool that would be suitable for each of those activities into a facility that size?
Well, that's a similar sized facility to our North Lexington YMCA, which does all of those things. And so that's part of the challenge and joy of a pool is learning to program it appropriately. So we start, just to give an example, we start every morning with open swim for our lap swimmers. We go into water aerobics classes and things like that during the day. This afternoon, as I left, the kids who were there for school stay out were swimming recreational. So we manage that over the course of our 17-hour day to get all of the groups in. Usually in the evenings, it's either program swim for swim teams or.
So it doesn't have to be a different type of pool for, more shallow for certain uses and.
No, it does have to be deep enough
Mhm.
if you have competitive swim
Right.
there.
Right.
It's got to be at least what, 9 feet on the deep end.
And
I
that pool,
think.
and that pool was a 5-lane pool, both at our North Lexington Y and in the plan itself. Our North Lexington swim team is 125 kids strong. We also have a junior swim team there, and the North Lexington Y also hosts Lexington Catholic and Sayre, so.
We would be.
High school swimming.
High
Yes.
school.
Okay.
We would be delighted to have you all come over and look at our aquatic center if you're interested in doing that. Just coming over for a visit to see how those pools operate. You know, pools are an important attribute of YMCA membership. So we know how passionate swimmers are.
Well, we do too.
Yes, you do.
Yeah. So do you know how many square feet a pool of that size would take up in a building?
Our natatorium is probably between what, 8,000 square feet. And that depends on what else you put with it. So for instance, take the North Y, we have a small whirlpool. Those are extremely popular, but we have steam and sauna also on the deck. And so, but I would say that natatorium is what, 7,500, 8,000 square feet?
In perspective, KSU's is around 16, 17,000.
Yeah.
Wow, it's pretty big.
It's got that.
Very similar to our Whitaker Y.
Yeah. The Whitaker Y's natatorium is 12,000 square feet. So it's a different kind of pool. It's got lap lanes, but then it's got a zoned area for a slide and small
I've
children.
toured that one.
You've seen that one.
Does that
Yeah.
include the square footage? Does that include locker rooms,
No,
restrooms?
that does
That's
not include the
additional.
locker rooms.
Okay,
That's just the natatorium, steam sauna and the whirlpool.
okay.
Who was your contact with from KSU during this? Who runs the Lexington Center?
I'm sorry, AD Athletic Director Ramon Johnson.
Okay, oh, she does, okay.
He does.
Yeah, okay, yeah, okay.
Now, Lisa Lang was one of our contacts at the beginning because AD Johnson wasn't there at the time. And our conversations, of course, this got started when Dr. Brown was still there, so.
Okay,
Most of our contract information goes through Lisa Lang.
Lisa, yeah.
And Judge, the square footage at the KSU natatorium, they have a diving well.
Yeah,
They have a whole separate section that's just for diving.
Okay,
which we don't use. Were we using it for
We
classes
were
at
not,
all?
we were not
No.
using it at the time. It needed some repairs at the time as well.
okay. Do high school, and maybe somebody else knows if you don't, do high schools, when they have meets, use the diving well?
I'm unaware. I know the ones we were partnering with at KSU did not request the use of that.
Mhm.
Yeah, sometimes it's used as a warm-up area for meets.
But there's not a.
There's very few diving teams.
Diving teams?
Yeah,
Okay,
that's rare.
okay,
I'm not aware of any in the high schools in Lexington. They could have them and I'm not aware, but I'm not aware of it.
okay.
We don't get that request either, so.
Sean, would you agree that something of the magnitude of a swimming pool, it's gonna take a community effort to do that? You all didn't want to do it yourself, did you?
No, not alone.
Yeah. And I think that's the way we would have to look at it as well, that wherever it was put, whether it's at KSU or whatever. At one time, Keith, I don't know whether you and I were talking about the possibility of the city and the county putting in monies to help with the maintenance of a swimming pool. Did we ever talk about that?
I don't remember that conversation though.
Okay. It seems like that at some point in time, someone was talking with you about doing that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not speaking for Paul or our association, but I think we'd be willing to support KSU as well if it's determined that's the path forward financially to fix that pool too.
Uh-huh.
Yes, we've offered to help chip in
You have,
when there's an opportunity to do that. They're aware of that, so.
do you have any information on what it takes on a yearly basis, what it would cost to maintain a pool?
Oh, yeah. Let me say this about pools. They're our single biggest expense. There's no question. They're an important part of our membership it's a service to our members. And we learned during COVID absolutely how important that service was. But we could not sustain the operations of the pools on their own. They have to be part of something a little bit bigger. So I will give you an example. I talked to a colleague of mine at another YMCA who does have an Olympic-sized pool, and I asked him for his annual operating budget. And without any repairs, his annual operating budget on his pool indoor is $225,000 a year. I would suspect, and we can go back and do that math, that on my two larger natatoriums, we're pretty close to that, if not right at that number. You've got to guard them, you've got chemicals, you've got water, you've got utilities, you've got repairs. They're wonderful attributes, and communities do need them. You just got to go into it with your eyes wide open, how expensive they are. And the liability of the pool is our single biggest liability as well. So the costs add up pretty quickly on pools.
Mhm.
Now, having said that, we couldn't do without them. So that's,
Sure, yeah.
that's part of
Yeah.
that's part of the equation for WISE.
Yeah. Now, right now you all are at a just kind of a not doing anything in the fundraising part.
Well, we're not doing fundraising because we don't have that clear plan of when you go to raise capital money, you have to say, this is what we're going to do, right? And so the development is still working through its processes. KSU is still working through their processes. And then with these parks plans, I mean, I think it's really important that we work together to figure out what the community needs and wants and how to build something that is sustainable for the community in the long term. So, all of us building an aquatic center is probably not a sustainable solution, but how do we work together to get to the right place for everybody? Because the last thing I want to do.
One.
Well, in a community this size, I think, I think one aquatic center is probably the logical answer.
Mhm. And you all would be willing, I'm sure you would, I hope you would, you'd be willing for the city and the county in some form or fashion to work with you.
Absolutely.
Whether it would be with KSU or at facility that the county would build.
Our purpose is to serve the community in the best way we can. And that is what has been so uncertain, right? Is what is the best way to do this? So that 5-10 years from now, when I'm long gone, retired and moved on, that you all aren't sitting around the table and the city's not sitting around the table and the YMCA is not sitting around the table saying, we can't afford this. And I think that's the most important thing, is to work together to get to what's right and what the community really can support.
John, are you in agreement with what's being said from the city standpoint?
Yes.
Okay, so unless the match, well, there's another question. Squire Muller?
Thank you, Judge. No, I think I like everything I hear. I think everybody's identified this is very, very important to our community. So I think near future would be figuring out what it's going to take to get KSU's pool fixed. If there's a dollar amount, I've heard different dollar amounts floating around. And then maybe, the why the schools, the city and the county can come together. If it's not in that bailout money, and, let's get that pool going until we can figure out, where we're heading from there. So I guess that's where I'm at as far as, let's baby steps, but thank you all for being on.
Thank you.
I think what we need to, if you don't mind, one, we would like to be part of that conversation, because we may be looking at a short-term fix and then have to look at it on a long-term fix. So I think we need to be clear on that. You all understand that, and you are actually, you and the city and us are all partners on both aspects, the short term and the long term. So
Yes.
we need to look at the quickest fix as an initial, and then we need to see whether that as a short-term fix can develop into, in some way, some form or fashion, to be a long-term fix as well.
And to be clear, when we went to KSU originally, when we had to close the downtown pool, which was inoperable or this close at the time, that it was the short-term fix, right? It was until we figure out what our path forward is, would you be willing to partner with us on the pool? And I'm very grateful to them that they said yes. We managed a year of that way, and they were great partners, and I can't say enough about their willingness to come to the table and help engage in that short-term solution. But it was considered at that point, until we figure out what's next, would you be willing to partner with us on the pool?
Okay. Charlie, anybody else? Sean?
Yeah, I think we all probably agree. I don't think, yes, I think the Exum Center, if we can get that up and running, if we can assist, I don't want to speak on the city as far as providing money. That's not my place, but
I understand, yeah.
I think that would be a good short-term fix, but I think in the medium to long term, I don't think just relying on the Exum Center to be the only pool in the community, I don't personally think that's probably the best way. My experience, I managed the FAC in Shelby County, and we had a decent sized indoor pool there, an 8-lane, 25-yard pool there indoor. And, they were clamoring for us to build a second pool, in Shelby County. Now we had spillover from Louisville that came over into Shelby County and Spencer County, Henry County, surrounding counties spilling over to us. So I don't think that just KSU Exum Center, just that being the sole pool, because I'm sure KSU has a plethora of aquatic activities for them. I think we'd be really cramming it in there. So, I guess a second indoor pool, that's more of a traditional rec center, for your layperson, I think is very important moving forward.
Okay, that's a good point. And as
And
part of that, go ahead.
And just to touch back what Paula was talking about a minute ago, the day-to-day operations of a pool, and the amount of staff and chemical and equipment that goes into it, is great. Shelby County, we had to replace the air conditioning unit. It was $500,000 just for one air conditioning unit. Now the air conditioning unit was the size of a semi truck, literally the size of a semi truck, that went on the roof. So it's a very, very expensive thoroughfare, but necessary evil.
That is exactly what I'm looking at one of our pools in Lexington right now.
Air conditioning.
It's the dehumidification unit, yeah, and it goes up on the roof, and it's an extremely, extremely expensive proposition.
But
So
it's a key. It's the key piece to keep for an indoor pool.
Absolutely,
Wow.
yeah, it's a lot.
Okay, so this is a discussion where it's been a great discussion, and I ask that you work with us, let us be part of the discussion as it moves forward, because we are part of the community. We heard what people had to say, and so I don't know what the avenues are, but that's why we have these discussions. So we'll see what avenues are as things move forward. And as we move forward, we would like to make sure that you're a part of working with us as we move forward too. Okay.
We are more than happy to help in any way we can.
Yeah. And Sean, the same goes to you. I think the city and county government need each other in this whole process. Recreation is not just for county people, it's for city people and vice versa. And so this is a community and and I ask you, as you all move forward with your plan and in developing things that you do, that you include us, and I expect us to ask you to be part of our plan as we move forward as well. Fair enough?
Fair enough.
Fair enough, okay?
If you'd like to visit any of our natatoriums in Lexington, again, I'd be happy to host you there. Just reach out to Keith.
Okay.
And we'll get those scheduled. I would recommend maybe seeing the Whitaker Family YMCA pool, which you said you've toured, and maybe coming to North and seeing kind of what that standard 25-yard indoor recreation pool looks like.
Charlie, if you can be in touch with them, maybe sometime we can go do that, okay?
Absolutely.
Set that up.
Happy to have you.
I'd also like for us to go see Fallen Springs in Woodford County as well.
Mhm.
And see how they've set up.
That's on the way. We can.
Actually, I'd like to go with you to that one. so
Okay.
Just let me know.
Good deal.
Yeah.
All right.
Sean, thank you. Appreciate you being here. Thank you very much.
No problem.
Keith and Paula, thank you all
Thank
very
you
much
very
as
much
well.
for having
Thanks.
us.
Thank you. Great to
Absolutely.
meet you.
I hope it was helpful.
Very.
It was, absolutely. Any discussion is helpful. Okay. Okay, that's it. Keep that wild. Thanks again. Good to see you.
Thanks, Charlie.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Absolutely.
All right, Charlie. I'll let you. Golf rates. I
Golf
think.
rates, is Andrew on the wire? Can he,
Andrew just.
I brought copies, but then
Andrew can do it. There he is.
there's screen share. Yeah.
For you,
Thank you.
Charlie, anytime.
Thank you very much. Hey, guys, and I just, we haven't changed any rates in a few years. And you know, the like everything else, the cost of business is going up. And our activity has increased tremendously at the golf course. It's just an opportunity to make some adjustments. None of these adjustments are real big, with the exception of the small business and group memberships at the bottom of the page. We had that set up based on increments of 10 members, and it was basically boiled down to $200 a member. And what that membership got these small groups was golf, range, and cart. Well, if you take an individual that does a golf, range, and cart combination membership, they're spending over $600 a person, or for their personal membership. As you can see, as a group, it's significantly decreased at $200 a person. So we need to make that adjustment. I proposed $350 instead of the $200. And they still get all the, of course, the benefits of the golf, greens fees, cart fees, and range fees. So I'll just throwing it out there for discussion.
If you want to start there, tell me how many small business groups you have.
Well, last year was our biggest. And in the past, it's been really low because we just haven't had very many. We've had 2 or 3 or 4 over the years. And last year, we had probably, I don't know exactly off the top of my head, but I can definitely look back through the paperwork and get you an exact number. But we had several groups, and some of them took well advantage of it, in which they should. We offered it to them, and they came and utilized it, and some didn't. So, but I feel like we had probably a dozen or more, but and that's groups, and these are, some groups are, small businesses might be, or a group might be 8 members, and some of them may be 30 and 40. I mean, it's quite a few. But, like I say, I compare it to, individually, and obviously we would get more money because it's a package deal, being a group membership, but you know, if you compare the individual cost of 200, you know, we round up a group of people and we get everybody to pay $200 as opposed to a single, like if you went out and got an individual membership that had all the benefits, it's over $600. So, you know, I'm just trying to look at it, the logic from that standpoint, but, you know, and I know the cost of everything's going up. I mean, you know, inflation is here, but so is for us when we buy parts for machinery or range balls to, you know, to supply the range and you know, employees and just maintaining the facility and in the golf as a whole. Chemicals have gone up. We're still the best rate in town. So I wanted to throw these numbers out there for discussion and see what your all's thoughts are. You know, we got a new cart lease. So our cart lease has gone up a little bit. Excuse me. So,
Andrew, would you go back to the piece that Charlie had, the rates? Charlie, where does juniors, we had a discussion about, or.
we did, we got an email on that. Somebody was checking on junior. Our junior rate currently is $159.
Hold on, Squire Tracy has, let's go to them. Go ahead. Squire Tracy, you go first.
Charlie, quick question. In regards to small business groups, who verifies the small business as far as like people that work for that group? And or the way it sounds like if I go out and recruit buddies and we say we're a small business group, that I'm allowed to pay that one fee there instead and to where it wouldn't be if I just came in and paid on my own. Is that accurate?
That's a good question. We don't currently have a designated, say, if they provide a business license or a list of employees that's on their payroll or anything like that. We can do that, but we have not done that in the past.
So back to so there is no way, or is that happening? Do you have groups of? I think the last time we talked about groups, and I don't have it with me, but I was thinking it was like 10 or 12 or, you know, per group. You had to cut it off because it sounds like you're going through the same thing we talked about before. Instead of cutting it off at a number and making a new group, it sounds like they're just adding on, which is in return making that fee even less. So if that's the case, we've talked about that in the past.
We have.
So is that still going on?
It does go on. We changed it up the last time we discussed it. We did it in increments of 10 employees.
Okay, that's what I thought.
Yeah, we did do that. But you know, 10 employees is 2,000, 20 employees is 4,000, and on up the chain. So it still cuts it down to $200 an employee or a member per se, because we have church groups and other groups that come together.
Okay.
So yeah, we did it in increments of 10.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Squire Muller.
Thank you, Judge. Hey, Charlie, looking at these, you know, I'm a firm believer we're here to support you. You know, you run the park, so you probably know what's going on a whole lot better than we do. Just curious, when was the last time the fees were raised? I know, like Squire Tracy just said, we've talked about the groups, you know, over the last couple of years, because that was a little bit of an issue. But I mean, as far as going through and raising what you're proposing to raise, when was the last time that was done?
We changed it from 2019 going into the 2020.
Right before the pandemic.
Right before, yeah.
Okay. And then just so I see it right, and it's not on the screen, you know, I don't golf, but I support it. if somebody comes up there to play 9 holes and rent a cart, the new proposed rate would be $20. Am I seeing that correct?
It'd be 18, $10 for greens fees and $8 for a cart.
Oh, okay, I'm with you. All right, yeah, that's, that seems super cheap to me. So, yeah,
Yes.
that's good. And then as far as we heard, you know, at our last open forum meeting, you know, the passion of schools and Midway College and things like that. Do schools pay any kind of range fees at all, or is that just something we provide?
Oh, they do. They pay $3.50 per player per visit. And I send them an invoice after each season.
Perfect, thank you.
Well,
So is that $3.50 based on one day use?
mhm.
Okay, because the way in our prior discussion, it was that they come in and they pay, that the schools end up paying for these $450 or whatever it is, something like that for a membership.
Right. Now, they do have the option of buying memberships.
And the memberships though are all on a limited time basis. They're not the whole year though, right?
They're, it's a season pass. It's the whole year. Yes. Mhm.
It is a season pass for the
Yeah.
whole year?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah. For example, like Franklin County boys golf team, they all buy memberships. They all buy junior memberships currently for $159 a player. They can
okay,
come practice all they want.
okay, and that covers 12 months.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
My proposed is 175. But like I say, it's, some schools use it more than others. Like we've got Kentucky State and Midway College, Midway University. You know, they come, they bring huge teams. You know, I mean, there'll be 15 players out there at one time just pounding golf balls. Well, we mark down, we keep a record of it. When they come in, the coach comes in and checks them all in, however many players they have for that practice round. And if they've got 15, they write down 15, the coach initials it. We keep a running total of that. And then at the end of the season, we send them an invoice. And that's per team if they don't buy a membership. And if they buy a membership, they just come sign in. So we know they're there and we've got a record of that. But if they buy a junior membership, you know, they just come practice and we don't have to send them an invoice at the end of the season. If they don't buy a membership, we have to invoice them for their use.
Are there high school players that their parents come in and buy them a membership as opposed to the school paying for them?
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Some of the other teams, their parents get them a junior membership. Yeah.
So wasn't the discussion that the schools come in and it's a misnomer that the schools buy a membership for the kids because they don't do that? Or,
Say that again, I'm sorry.
so you got a junior membership for $159
Mhm.
and Ann Northcutt's on the golf team at Western Hills. So she comes in there and plays, practices with the team for a couple months at Lakeview. What I thought was told to us that they thought they were getting a membership by the school paying for them to play. So after the season was over, they wanted, the concern was, how come we have to continue to pay when we got a membership?
Right,
And that wasn't that, what
Yeah,
part of
I
that
see what you're saying. In the golf season, the coaches will turn in a roster. Okay, and they're under the school, the booster club, the golf team. They're covered. The players are. Okay. When that season's over, I send them in, I tally it up and I send the invoice. If those members if the team members want to come back and continue to play, then they just pay the school rate of $350. There's a school rate.
individual?
Individual. Yeah.
Does,
because it's out of season.
does the junior membership include all the golf, the practice range, the balls, all of that?
It includes the practice on the range, driving range use, and greens for walking only, not
Walking
cart.
over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay. Squire Tracy, let's go with you again.
Charlie, you referenced, I think it was Midway or Kentucky State, but you referenced $3.50. Is that unlimited balls? Or is that a bucket of balls?
Per visit for the day,
So $3.50, I can sit up there 4 hours and hit golf balls.
our way. Yep.
Can you send us the contract that we have with them? I haven't seen anything in regards to the universities and an agreement. Can you
Yeah,
go back to your,
We don't have a contract. We just set the school rate up, and I negotiated that with the coaches, and
Okay.
we just have one school rate.
do we have any idea, Charlie, what Midway was paying the country club to use their facilities?
They told me, I don't remember that fee off the top of my head. I can check and get that for you. Yeah.
That would be definitely higher because they play 18 holes of golf there, right?
Well,
I'm
they
sorry.
had a practice. They were using
Use
their
the practice
range.
range too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm sorry, I should clarify. Charlie, can you find out what they were paying to use their practice tee boxes?
Yes, I will.
Squire Muller?
Thank you, Judge. Charlie, real quick on the schools, you're not proposing raising, that 350 is what's current, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I
That's-
just want to make
that's-
sure. I mean, the more kids we can get out there exercising, the better we are. So I just wanted to make sure. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That stays the same.
Okay, any suggestions on any changes? Squire Muller?
No, like I said, Judge, this is kind of Charlie's wheelhouse. I'm not a golfer. It seems fair to me. But like I said, I'll go with our park director's recommendations. I'm fine with it.
Squire Tracy?
Can you go back to the rates?
Yeah. Andrew, go back to the right there, yeah.
So just to be clear, so 18 holes in a cart now is gonna be $25 plus tax, right?
That'll be tax included. We'll set the rate on our register, our point of sale system. That'll be,
Yeah,
that's
a good
maximum.
idea.
Yeah. Yes, 25. Yes.
Has there been any decline in golf since, I guess whichever you look at it, since the pandemic has started to go down a little bit per se, or is it still golf
No, it's-
still rising?
Still very healthy, rising. Yes.
And you don't think these increases will hurt golf?
I do not. It's cheaper in Juniper, cheaper than anywhere you can play golf. And we have the only driving range in town. Public. And it's just, a couple dollars here, a couple dollars there. Like I say, the biggest increase was that group membership pass. Now, and I'm sure I'm gonna get a ton of phone calls. I play golf. I play golf with some of these guys that buy these things, and I've discussed it with them a little bit too, and they're like, yeah, hey, we're getting a great deal. And I'm like, well, we don't want to bump it up too high, but we just, the cost of golf in general, as to maintain the facility itself has gone up. I mean, this isn't, we'll see how it affects revenues, but there's a need to, there's a value to put on what we have out there, and there's a need for that increase.
Squire Tracy?
I'm just not sure I can support it, to be honest. As you said, everything's going up and the last thing we want to do is keep somebody from playing. So
So, what if we look at this, Squires? I'm looking at, basically the cart passes and, for a single, cart pass, it's 212, it goes up to 250, and we move that to 200 as opposed to 250. For a senior, it goes from 150 to 200. For a senior, it goes up to 175. For family, it's 212, and you reduce that to 200. Those are increases, but they are nominal increases. And keep the junior at 159. Actually, 160. Make it 160. Let's round it up to 160 at 159. Those are just suggestions. I was looking at some way that I had a feeling you would say that, Squire Tracy. So I was trying to look for a compromise that could help people.
Could you
Judge,
tell me,
it just takes your vote. I mean, it's 1-1. So if you want the increase, just support it. It's not a big, I mean, it's what you need.
Actually, I'm trying to,
what were your cart proposals?
my cart proposals were, well, first of all, under the season passes are what you got, except for the junior, keep the junior at 160. Since we've got so many juniors out there playing, let's keep encouraging that.
Okay,
The cart passes, you go from, as a single is 212, and instead of going to 250, you go to 200.
so drop it.
Oh, shit, I was so sorry. Yeah. So let's go to 225. I'm sorry.
Two
Excuse
twenty.
me.
Okay,
225, yeah.
that's why I asked that.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry, 225. So, the senior is 150, you go to 175,
Okay,
and the family, would be 225, as well.
okay.
Is that fair enough?
So the family and the single will be the same.
Yeah.
They are
that's
now,
They already are.
Okay.
And then round off the junior to 160.
Michael, Squire Muller, can you go with that?
Absolutely. Like I said, just as, as long as Charlie's okay with it, I mean, I know things are getting more expensive, but at the end of the day, I mean, I think our big thing here in Franklin County is getting people out and participating in sports. So yeah, I can support that, Judge.
Now, the question is, Squire Tracy, you can't support it, but, do you want to clarify why you're not supporting it, or?
I'm pretty sure I already have.
Reason, I'm sorry, I must not have heard it. What did you say was your reason?
I said, I'm pretty sure I already have clarified it. Thank you, though.
Can you say it again? Because I'm not sure I heard what you said. I apologize. Are you not going to answer me? Is that?
No, Judge, I've already said what I said. I was very clear. Thank you.
Okay. He's not going to answer. So, all right.
So do we need to make a motion to,
Yeah. Is there, Squire Muller, you make a motion to go with the proposed rates?
Okay, Judge, would you mind, since I don't think I had this with me, could we run through it one more time, just from top to bottom, just so I understand what we're voting on, please?
And I will respond to your asking you to do it again. So the junior rate would go to 160 from 159 to 160. The single rate would go from 212 to 225.
on the cart?
On cart, I'm sorry, single rate on cart passes. The senior rate on cart passes would go from 150 to 175. and the family would go from 212 to 225. Thank you, Andrew.
Okay, any changes on we're just talking seasonal stuff now, and really, to me, that has everything to do with our carts are costing us more money, so I mean, so anything on the individual, things, or we're gonna leave them all the same?
I really don't have any, changes on
Okay.
that.
I just wasn't sure since we were raising the carts, because basically that's what's gone up in our budget is the cost of the carts. So I didn't know if we wanted to add $1 or $2 to the individual cart rentals, because really that's all we're addressing, and leave everything else the same.
They are changing though, the range fees, the green fees and the cart fees are changing, so they are going up.
Yeah, the cart fee, Squire Muller, the cart fee on 9 holes goes up $1 from
Okay.
7 to 8. And then on 18 holes, it goes up $2 from 8 to 10.
And I'm fine with that. And just to clarify that the school price is still staying $350. So yes, Judge, I'm good with that.
Thank
All
you.
right, so we have a motion and a second. I guess you need to call the roll. Make sure.
Square Muller,
Yes.
Square Tracy,
No.
Judge Wells.
Yes, all right.
Thank you.
Let's go now, Charlie, let's go back to the park master plan discussion where, and I think the question is, where do we go? Do we bring it back to the court? What do we do with the park master plan?
Yeah. Our next step. Yeah.
What's our next step? Yeah.
Yeah, I get, that's a great question. Where do we go from here? We've had lots of great meetings and great input. Having the Y involved and the city involved today is a great idea. I think we're at a pivotal time in city and county government and with the YMCA, what their options are and where do we go from here as far, we've got a master plan, we've got a lot of great ideas in that. And there's lots of important input from indoor recreation and indoor pools and, who takes that on and what are our next steps for the community, because, the iron is hot and we need to keep it that way and keep this dialogue going and this open discussion, the positive energy moving forward. I know sometimes it gets a little heated, but that's just part of the process. But we've got a lot of really good input from the community at this point. And, what are our next steps? Where do we go from here? How do we present it to the community through our governmental processes on the county level, city level? It'd be great to get the state involved, private donors, school boards, on down the line. So, Judge, that's a great question. Where do we go from here? Do we present it to court? Do we do we need to have more meetings? What is our next step?
So, Ann, I'm going to ask you to chime in you want to go ahead now?
Yes, that'd be fine, because this is one of the next steps that we would be taking. As we've talked about from the very beginning, through the history of Lakeview back to the time the park was acquired, federal funds have been used through recreational trails grants and land water conservation fund grants to develop certain amenities within the park. I've been corresponding with our folks at the Department for Local Government, because those grants are facilitated through that department, through the state, from the National Park Service. And so we've always known that we would need to communicate with the National Park Service once we had our plan ready. It is a little bit more involved than just the amenities that were improved or created with federal funds. The Department for Local Government feels that we would need to submit our plan when it's in its final form to the National Park Service for approval. So I've already started a conversation with DLG. They're going to help me do that. I have all the forms ready. I just would need direction from either this committee, or if this committee takes the plan to fiscal court and fiscal court deems this is what we want to send to the federal level. And then I can begin that process of submitting a plan for approval from the National Park Service.
So you're saying that the plan has to be approved before, and then you take it to the National Park Service?
Whatever plan this committee and fiscal court agree is the plan they want to move forward with, would be the plan that I would submit, because I will be submitting both the plan and the as-built of the park as it is now, so that they can see what the changes are. Some of their most serious consideration will be around indoor facilities, because those must include a recreation component and must encourage outdoor recreation, are two of the criteria that are used to approve that. The National Park Service will also help guide us per their requirements when it comes time to things like management of facilities. They will have some guidance for us when it comes to things like that. So I really want to open those lines of communication and start that dialogue as soon as the plan is at the form where this committee and fiscal court, either or both, are ready for me to do that.
What type of time frame do you think that might take?
Initial approval, if they go through the plan and everything looks good to them, will take about 3 months, according to DLG. If they have some questions about certain parts of the plan, it may take longer.
Okay, Squire Mullers, you go first. What's our next step?
Yeah, thank you, Judge. I think this committee has done a phenomenal job. I think we've had a lot of community input, and a lot of things were talked about. And I appreciate that you inviting the Y today to talk about the indoor facility. And I'm glad Sean Pickens was on. He was involved from the original stakeholders meeting, and I know he gave the Hitchcock Group the city master plan so that we could work together hand in hand with the city. So I think where we are right now, kind of like Charlie Lewis was just saying, I think it's time to take it to the court and let's share it with everybody and see what everybody's thoughts are. I think this committee's done a great job, and that's where I am. Thank you.
So you're saying that the plan that was presented to the public a week ago is the final draft, that's the plan?
For the programs that the Hitchcock Group specified, yes.
Squire Tracy?
I would say the plan, the programs that were sent to us that were identified through the process, as Ann has indicated, it's going to be 3 months before we ever hear anything back. I too would like to thank the YMCA and Sean for being at the meeting today. I think they answered a lot of questions that the community has. I think the public presentation personally was a debacle. I'd like to apologize to Shannon and the team again. But I think I read it was, the comment was made disappointment. I think it even made the front page. I don't agree with that. I see the project and the people that have been engaged as passionate, and I guess I could use the word fed up with would be more than anything, just because of the lack of amenities that our community offers. So again, I'm excited about the plan that was presented to us. It sounds like everybody's waiting on the next person to do something. So yeah, I'm in favor of taking it to the court.
Okay. I think the plan lacks a lot of specificity. I don't think you have to have complete. I don't think the plan has to be concrete. I think there is. I personally have felt like we have lacked the, as a committee, the ability to change the plan because we went through a whole process of trying to change the plan for 4 hours. And it ended up being that we took every single thing out. And so I'm concerned that of the flexibility of a plan, which should be very flexible in itself, is not there. And I don't mind taking to the court, but I have a lot of reservations about it. And I'll hold those to myself for another time. But we can put it on the agenda for March the 3rd. Would that work, Tambra? And would it be a resolution or just an adoption for the court to adopt the plan?
Would be to adopt it as the plan as a whole, the way
it's the final version as a whole, right? Okay, and then we'll just see how that goes and see what goes from there, right?
Someone want to give a motion?
To what? We don't really need a motion to take to the court. We do.
You're gonna take the rights to the court for approval. And you want to do what's involved. The park committee is gonna recommend this to the court to adopt. I would prepare
Okay, all right.
a formal.
Is there a motion to take the plan to the court?
I'll make a motion that we take the plan that this group's worked very hard on to the fiscal court on March 3rd. Yes.
Okay.
Second.
All right, motion second.
Okay, everybody's in favor?
Was that a morning or afternoon? Third?
I think that's a evening, isn't it?
Yes.
Ms. Tamara, do you need us to vote yes or no?
You just did.
I said all in favor.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You said second, I think, and then we voted on.
I did. Yes, sir.
That's a 5 o'clock meeting. Would you like the Hitchcock group there to present their final?
It's your all's call. You want me, we can invite them.
I think we have to pay them if we do it.
Oh.
So,
I mean, are we talking like them zooming in? Is that what you're talking about, Tamara?
well, if we don't have to pay them.
Right. I think, Charlie, maybe if you could reach out to them and ask them, I mean, I can't imagine they would charge us to, for one of them to sit in while they were presenting, because I'm sure there'll be a lot of questions, and I think it'd be better answered coming from them.
Okay.
Squire Tracy.
Would it be possible to go ahead and forward I think they made it through 9 pages at the public hearing, but there's 358 pages. Would it be possible to go ahead and email that to the members of the court where they can look over this and have ample time to look over it?
Yes, and it has,
Okay.
they did send an updated version since then.
Got it. Yeah, that's what I'm looking at right now. Thank you.
Cameron, you got that?
Mhm.
Charlie, next item.
Next item's other business. Any other business?
Charlie, as part of other business, since we're moving towards March, which is budget time, do you have anything that in particular that you want to bring up before the committee in repairs or maintenance of or costs for the park?
Nothing major comes to mind. The latest thing I guess we've had to deal with as far as repairs and maintenance would be the ice maker at the Carter House is out. We need to replace it. So, that's not a huge ticket item, but you're looking at probably, I'm gonna try to do it in this year's budget, but you're probably looking at $3,000 or something like that. It's a commercial ice maker we keep there.
Yeah, it's been, well, That's hugely needed, isn't it?
Mhm.
So have you had somebody look at it and they said that it's wrong?
Yeah, I had, Jeremy looked at it and, we've been dealing with issues. We actually unplug it and turn it off and here recently, just so it, because it just keeps running, it's wasting water and just, there's some parts that are not working properly. And he said it just, because of the age of it, it's out of warranty. You know, the thing's probably 15 years old or better.
Oh, that's good. Get it, keep it that long.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
But nothing, I mean,
Nothing that you're
Knock on
talking about
wood.
right now.
you know, we're going through all of our equipment right now, getting it ready for this, you know, this upcoming season and which will be right around the corner. You know, that I probably there's one piece of equipment on the golf end that I need to get a quote on, and it's extremely expensive. That comes to mind. We're trying to find ways to fix it, but it's a fairway mower and it's, you know, it's $40,000 piece of equipment.
Oh,
So you know, we've gotten tons of use out of it as well. It's probably 10, 12 years old. But it gets used a lot.
Okay.
But I'll like I say, we're gonna try to fix it. But we're not mechanics, so.
and do you have anything else you want to add?
I just wanted to remind the committee that we still have a recreational trails grant award of $20,000. That was prior to beginning the planning process that we had submitted, and finally, after 3 years, received that award. And Department for Local Government's been holding on to that for us. It was specifically for a paved pedestrian path from the park entrance back to join the trail system so
Mhm.
that pedestrians wouldn't have to share the road with vehicles. So they haven't given me a time limit, although it's been over a year now since we've been awarded. If there's going to be any alternate scope of that project, that's probably something I would have to submit and get permission to alter the scope of that project. Otherwise, let them know to pass that award on to the next project that they would have in line. So we wouldn't be able to use that. So I'd need some direction there. There's another Land Water Conservation Fund window that's open until the end of May. Those grants are 150,000 project amount, would be 75,000 federal funds, 75,000 match in cash or in kind force account. If we had anything that in mind that we could go ahead and accomplish, and we wanted to submit an application for that, I'm very happy to work on that. We had a small grant opportunity pop up that I've already communicated with Charlie on from Kentucky American Water for $5,000 toward a project on water quality. Charlie had mentioned he could use a new pump for the pond, for the water quality of that. We would need a participating agency to join us in that project, but there is no match. So whether or not we could get someone from the Cabinet of Environment, or whether we could get somebody from our extension agency that has, you know, some expertise in ponds, I think we could find a community partner for that. If that $5,000 would cover the cost of that piece of equipment for you. And I believe that would be one that we would have very good luck in getting an award on that. So just wanted to let everyone know that those grant opportunities are there, and happy to pursue any or all.
Squire Muller?
Thank you, Judge. Thank you, Ann. Hey, Ann, question. I know through this process, there's been a lot of people and a lot of complaints I get during the school year is kids walking through Indian Hills on that main road, as far as dangerous, you know, as far as, you know, cars possibly hitting them and stuff. Do you think there'd be any way to use the grant that we've already been awarded to do like an area from the school to the neighborhood, you know, and I know we have talked about it, it's on the upper side of the plan there. Would there be any way, are we stuck to using
That
that
would be a scope
$20,000 from the
change.
front entrance to the back, or can we
Be a
apply
scope change.
to use it somewhere else?
to move the location of that path from the school property or Indian Hills properties into the park would be a scope change, because when we sent them the application, it was shown on the map as a pedestrian path from the park entrance back to the trails. So I'm happy to pursue and see if we can get a change in scope to allow that. It doesn't hurt to ask.
But wouldn't that be through the city though? That's city property? Indian
always.
Hills? That's what he's talking about, Indian
Yeah,
Hills. That would be
if
city.
it comes through someone else's property, there would be probably some easements and some of those kinds of issues that would have to be accomplished as well.
Okay, well, I could reach out to the city and at least see, I guess, if there's
We had asked
possibility.
for, I can't remember what our original application asked for. We received 20,000, which we know from the Safe Routes to School trail that we did along the perimeter of the park back several years ago. That's not a lot. Hopefully with our road department participating or park staff, that, we would be able to accomplish a paved path that would be like that Safe Routes to School path for pedestrians. But if it's going to interfere with, an upcoming plan,
Yep.
whether or not to pursue that particular project or not. So happy to take direction from the committee or the court in which way to go with those projects.
Mhm.
Do you know, could you refresh my memory, the $20,000 grant that we have currently now, who is that from?
It's recreational trails. That's a federal grant. It comes through the Department for Local Government, but it is federal money.
Perfect, thank you very much.
And that's for the entrance
Yes,
sidewalks.
for the paved path.
Yeah,
Yes.
and and if we're gonna, in this plan, if that moves forward and we redo that entrance, we can't do this project. So it
Right.
might be better served to move, if we can get an easement from the city and the school board to connect Indian Hills back there off, I think it's Hiawatha Trail. There's an opening that they're using now, and there's access.
Well, Squire Muller, were you talking about just that opening, or are you talking about sidewalks all along the road?
No, sir, I was talking about where Charlie's talking about, because it came in front of us a couple of years ago, as far as how they kind of come through the park inside and then cut through the school property, yes.
Okay, but it's actually a school property.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And
Part of
I
our
think
trail.
to go talk to them about running along the property line or something, I think I mentioned it at one point, and Mark Hoff was like, anything to keep our kids safe, so I don't know if that would be an issue. Obviously, he can't answer that himself without his board or legal, but I think it's worth talking to.
Robert, you got something you want to say about that?
Yes, sir. So I'm looking at the location on Hiawatha Trail where the folks walk through to get to the walking trails in the back or to the school. And of course, everyone's familiar, that was an old railroad right of way. It's been abandoned. 411 Hiawatha Trail is the property next to where the people walk through. The city did work with the railroad, and Rob Moore was a solicitor at the time, to get the railroad released or something so that they could do a sewer project. So Squire Muller, if you talk to the city, you might want to mention that to them and see if that did include 411 Hiawatha. Other than that, there is a city-owned property that backs up to the park in between 444 Blackfoot Trail and 1200 Chinook Trail. Okay, now it serves as a portion of their drainage system for the subdivision, but there looks like there could be a high spot parallel to the property line of 444 where possibly a trail could come in as well.
All good information. Thank you, Robert.
You're welcome.
Robert, would you mind talking with, I don't know who, with the city about the possibility of a connection there?
Sure, let me talk with Katie in Public Works, and we can look at elevations and see if it'd be feasible, because we want something that won't have too much slope to it or anything, since it would be on city property. So I'll chat with Katie about that and see if she has any information on how high the water elevation gets, when it does serve as a detention basin.
Okay, right, well, I've got you on. Ann mentioned that there is it land water that's due into May?
Yes.
Okay, Robert, what about, there's one of the very few pieces that, of this master plan that wasn't taken out, wasn't, put back in, wasn't, had very little discussion, but is a major piece of the plan is the amphitheater. The amphitheater would ultimately need sewer connection, water connection in that area. Would land, water, and be part of
don't
doing
know if-
something like
I
that?
don't know if they would consider that project because it's not specifically outdoor recreation.
An amphitheater is not outdoor.
I think they're looking at the more traditional recreational activities.
Oh, okay, okay. Squire Tracy?
Judge, I believe in the plan that they sent to us, it referenced, I want to say it referenced, Charlie, please tell me if I'm wrong. I want to say it referenced concessions and bathrooms for the amphitheater being ran out of the multi-use facility. Is that right, Charlie?
Sounds right. Yeah.
That's what I thought. Okay, thank you.
Well, once again, you can always, and Robert, do you know where the sewer line goes? Does it come up from, where we're talking about putting a new pump station in down there up to the, clubhouse?
To the Carter House?
No, to the, pro shop clubhouse.
That's
No, sir.
gravity.
Just goes
That
to
goes
Charlie.
towards, it goes towards Indian Hills.
Oh, it goes towards Indian Hills?
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a force main that serves the pro shop there. Isn't that right, Charlie?
Yes. Mhm.
Okay, so as part of the new pump station, the private pump force main that serves the Carter House now will be converted to a manhole and gravity line down to the new pump station. We could use a low pressure system for the amphitheater and pump up to the new manhole. That'd be my recommendation, because trying to tie in a force main into a force main can be somewhat problematic. I'd try the easiest route first, in my opinion, just pump up to the manhole.
Well, it's really been decided because Ann says that money wouldn't be, you can use that money for it anyway, so that's.
I do have one suggestion for
Okay.
land water. I've been following very closely the economic development grant announcements. As everyone remembers, we did a joint application with the city to improve ball fields both at Lakeview and at Capitol View Park. Those awards are starting to be announced at this time. I believe the grant program ended the end of January, but they're taking some time to, I'm sure, to review. And of course, they did receive multiples of the amount that's actually available, but should we find out that we were not awarded that particular grant, if there is a standalone project that we can use to start some improvements on the ball fields, that's definitely a possibility that we could write into a land water conservation fund project.
Would we have enough time?
Yes, we should hear it about any time. I've reached out to our link with economic development out of the Atlanta region office to ask her, Miss Bertha Pardon is her name, to ask her if she's heard anything about that particular grant award. I expect to hear back from her any day as those announcements are starting to roll out. So that would give me enough time, I believe, to put together a project for some type of ball field improvements.
Could that include lights?
It would be $150,000, as I said, and $75,000 match,
Mhm.
$75,000 federal funds. So
you know,
Might buy
we can
one
put
pole.
together something that we could definitely get on this, on the road to making some improvements,
Yeah,
if that works.
a little bit helps.
Good idea, Ann. Thank you for coming up with that.
Sure.
Robert, do you have anything else to add?
No, sir.
Okay, I'm pretty sure we're gonna have to have another parks meeting sometime in the middle of March as you develop your budget, and review. So the next, parks meeting will be, sometime in the middle of March, sometime in March to review, next steps and as well as, where we go with the budget for the park. All right, everybody understand that?
Okay.
Motion to adjourn. Charlie, I guess we got everything, right?
That's all I got.
Okay, motion to adjourn.
So move.
All right. Second, everybody okay with adjourning? All right.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.